Hello. Aba? Nangyari dito? Hey. Nabingi na. Ayan, shout out sa lahat. I'm busy. Kumusta, I'm busy? Ayan, 4 million in the whole universe. Hello. Anong gagawin natin ngayon? Wala pa naman sila. Ay! Halika dito! Nagutom ako. Kumusta? Could go Ay, ka. Bakit ikaw?
And giggle because they've heard the story many times. Still, they listen. Well, here it goes. Back in the early 40s, when I was about your age living in Chattanooga, Tennessee, my parents and I would go downtown to Gulla's restaurant every Sunday after church. After the meal, my parents would always ask me if I would like to have some New York cheesecake for dessert. Every time, I would scrunch my nose and politely reply, "No, thank you." My father would ask if I was sure, and without much thought, I'd always reply, "Yes." One Sunday, he asked me a new question. "Son, if you've never tried a bite of cheesecake, how do you know you don't like it?" "Well, I just know that I won't," I said with my arms folded. When I crossed my arms like this, it meant I'm serious. "But why?" my father asked. "Can you please explain to me how you are so sure that you do not like cheesecake?" "Well, I like cheese in sandwiches, but cheese in cake just doesn't sound good to me." My father explained, "Son, the cheese in cheesecake is not like the cheese that's in your grilled cheese sandwiches. The cheese in cheesecake is vanilla white and creamy. In the cake, it tastes sweet." "What?" I exclaimed. "How can cheese be sweet? I always thought cheese was an orangish color and salty." "Son, the cheese isn't sweet by itself. You add sugar. Sugar is what makes the cake sweet." "Oh, well, I'll think about it. But I don't want any today." My parents looked at each other and smiled, like parents do when they know something that you don't. You need to be on alert when you see your parents smile at each other in that funny way. The next Sunday, I watched my parents more closely as they ate their cheesecake. Couldn't help but notice how they smiled after each bite. I waited for my father to ask me if I wanted to try a piece. But he didn't this time. "Dad, you forgot to ask me if I wanted to try a piece of cheesecake," I reminded him. My father smiled and said, "I didn't forget. I know that when you're ready, you will try it. Perhaps when you are older." On the way home, I started to feel like I should have at least tried a small bite of the cheesecake. But how can cheese taste sweet? This was awful. What should I do? The next day, I made a very important decision, the type of decision someone makes once they're older. After all, I was older now. Older than I was the day before, and I even felt older. I waited all day for my father to come home from work so I could tell him the big news. Finally, my father arrived. Before he could get out of the car, I was standing right outside, ready with my big announcement. "This Sunday, I will try a bite of cheesecake." My father gave me a big smile. He leaned down to my level and said, "Son, I'm so glad that you have decided to try something new." "Not a whole piece, just a little bite," I said. My father chuckled. "Okay, well, I guess a little bite is better than no bite at all." Feeling happy with myself, I looked forward to the big day. I was growing older, making big decisions, and would soon find out if I really didn't like cheesecake once and for all. Well, before I knew it, Sunday was upon us, and we were back at Gulla's for lunch. I could hardly enjoy my meal because my thoughts began to worry. What if cheesecake is yucky and awful? What if it makes me sick and I pass out? Boy, this is a bad idea. The big moment arrived. The waiter brought over my parents' cheesecake and gently placed it on the table. I will just put on a brave face, swallow very quickly, and wash it down with my milk, or water, or whichever is closer, I thought. While bringing it to my mouth, I decided to hold my nose and close one eye. My fork edged closer and closer to my mouth and then suddenly froze. I saw the fork bravely disappear into my mouth. My parents waited with anticipation as my taste buds voted. Wow. I thought. Hey, this is good, I proclaimed. My parents laughed with excitement and said in unison, Yes, we've been trying to tell you. For the rest of the long week, I look forward to having the cheesecake again. I was feeling older, making such big decisions. Finally, Sunday had come, and we were back at Gullis. I was excited, ready to order my cheesecake. When the waiter came over, he had very bad news. I'm sorry, folks, but we are all out of cheesecake and will be for some time. Due to the war, sugar has been rationed. However, we still have a couple slices of carrot cake available. Would anyone care for some delicious carrot cake? My father looked at me with a smile as I made a perplexed face. How can a carrot in cake be good? Should I try it, I thought? Would you try it? And that's the story of the little boy who wouldn't eat cheesecake, Papa said with a grin. Now, hopefully you guys won't make the same mistake I did by waiting too late to try something new. So, who wants cheesecake for dessert? Did you enjoy this story? Why not take a look at some of our other children's bedtime stories? On special occasions, Roger might... Blah, blah.
G'day guys. Are you ready to hear a story? You are? That's wonderful. This story is called A Sausage Dog's Tale, and it's written by me, Jess Judd, and narrated by the fabulous Kelly Colleen.
This story goes out to Stella. Thanks for listening, Stella. A Sausage Dog's Tale. Every time I go to my grandfather's house, he tells me the most ridiculous stories. One time, he told me that when he was a boy, he had to walk for 2 hours just to get to school in the morning. Another time, he told me that on the day he married my grandmother, they could hear all of the animals from the nearby zoo roaring and bellowing and making heaps of noise just at the moment they kissed. But the last time we visited him, he told us the most ridiculous story of all. Would you like to hear it? My grandfather told me that when he was a young man, fresh out of school, he was trying to find a job. He walked the streets for days and days, going into every business to see if they needed help. One day, after a long morning of being told, "No, we don't need help," he went and sat in the park. While he sat in the park, he saw a man selling hot dogs from a little cart. On the front of the cart was a sign that said, "Help needed." My grandfather quickly went and spoke to the man, who said that he was going on a holiday with his family and needed someone to work the hot dog cart while he was away. My grandfather said that he would be happy to work the cart for the man. It turned out that the hot dog man was leaving on his holiday the very next day. So my grandfather returned to the cart the next morning to start the first day of his new job. Mostly, his job went smoothly. But then one day, he noticed that when he added everything up at the end of the day, he was missing 2 sausages. He decided he must have made a mistake. But the next day again, when he added everything up, my grandfather saw that he was missing another 2 sausages. On the third day, he paid very close attention to the number of hot dogs he sold. But again, he found that he was missing 2 more sausages that night. My grandfather was very confused. The next day, he got his friend to work on the hot dog stand for him, and he sat on the bench nearby to watch. At around lunchtime, my grandfather noticed a dog slinking through the nearby bushes, running from shadow to shadow, trying to sneak up on the hot dog cart. It was a small, reddish-colored sausage dog. My grandfather watched as the dog snuck up quietly behind the cart and stole 2 sausages. My grandfather laughed out loud. He finally knew where the sausages had been going. The next day, my grandfather kept a careful eye on the bushes around the cart for the sausage dog. Again, at around lunchtime, he noticed the little dog slinking through the bushes, running from shadow to shadow. My grandfather waited until he was sure the little dog was behind him and jumped around shouting, "Gotcha!" The little dog gave a yelp of surprise and looked at my grandfather. Now that little dog was up close. My grandfather could tell that he didn't have a home. He looked rough and unwashed, like no one was caring for him. "Are you hungry, little guy?" my grandfather asked the little dog. The dog whined, and my grandfather gave him 2 sausages to eat. "I'll look after you," my grandfather told the dog. "But what will we call you?" My grandfather looked at the little dog, and the name suddenly came to him. "Peanut. We'll call you Peanut." And so my grandfather and Peanut spent their days together. Every day my grandfather would let Peanut have 2 sausages from the cart. I would have thought that this would be very bad for business. However, my grandfather said that because Peanut was so adorable, people would come visit the cart, and he ended up selling more and more hot dogs because of it. Families with dogs came to the park, and Peanut would sometimes run off and play with 2 other doggy friends, Andy and Luke. Children would play with Peanut while their parents sat eating hot dogs. Sometimes, when someone couldn't finish their hot dog, they would give the rest of it to Peanut. For a little while, this was fine. However, my grandfather began to notice that the more sausages and leftover hot dogs Peanut ate, the more he was beginning to look like a sausage himself. Eventually, the hot dog cart owner returned from his holiday. He was so excited with the amount of business my grandfather had brought in that he asked him to continue working for him so that he could open another hot dog cart in a different park. My grandfather was so happy. He invited the owner to have a hot dog with him in celebration. At that exact moment, Peanut jumped up on the table next to the cart to wait for his daily sausage lunch from my grandfather. The owner, who had just been about to put a sausage on his hot dog, saw Peanut, and mistaking the red hot dog for a real sausage, picked him up and put him in his bun. My grandfather turned to see the owner putting sauce on Peanut's back. "Oh, stop! You can't eat that! It's a dog!" my grandfather cried. The owner dropped his hot dog bun, and Peanut rolled out onto the ground. The owner looked at my grandfather and began to laugh. Peanut got up and shook himself off. He ran off to the other side of the park where his 2 doggy friends, Andy and Luke, were playing, and after realizing what had almost happened to Peanut, the 3 dogs had a little party to celebrate that Peanut had not been eaten. My grandfather swears that this story is true, and he even showed me old photographs of a little sausage dog called Peanut. But I'm not sure if I believe him. Do you think I should? A special thanks to Jess Judd, a very talented author. We love you, Miss Jess.
Thank you, Kelly. That's so very sweet of you to say. I hope G'day guys! Are you ready to hear a story? You are? Fabulous. This story is called The Midnight Princess, and it was written by me, Jess Judd. A long time ago, in a kingdom far, far away, there once lived a little princess named Mindy. Mindy spent long days in princess school, learning all of the important things she needed to learn to take over her father's kingdom one day. After princess school, Mindy would go and play outside with her puppy dog Gerald, or ride her horse, or any number of other things. Her days were sometimes tough, but always full of fun and laughter. But then there were the nights. Poor Princess Mindy hated nighttime. She didn't feel frightened. She was a princess, and princesses were very brave. No, Mindy just couldn't sleep. Every night she would be awake until at least midnight, when her body finally drifted off to sleep. It got so bad that everyone living in the castle started to call her the Midnight Princess. Princess Mindy would wake up every morning at 7 a.m. sharp. She would have her breakfast, sometimes a ham and cheese croissant or sometimes a poached egg on toast, and then head to school. Mindy enjoyed school, although sometimes it made her brain hurt, especially when she didn't get much sleep the night before. Sleep is very important for our bodies, her teacher would tell her. Sleep is the time for your body to rest and prepare itself for the coming day. It also gives your brain a chance to sort through all the things it has learnt during the day. Sorting and storing information, replacing chemicals in your body, and fixing things that need fixing. Most children should be getting between 10 to 12 hours of sleep every night, Princess, much more than what you are currently getting. I know, Princess Mindy said with a sigh. I just can't do anything to fix it. I have so much trouble getting to sleep. One day, Mindy received a note from the princes and princesses from Castle Johnson. Their wizard had heard of the Midnight Princess's problem and wanted to try and help. He had put together a magic sleepy potion for her. The princess just needed to apply the magic sleepy potion just before bed, and it should help her doze off. Princess Mindy suddenly felt excited to go to bed. She finished at school, then spent the afternoon riding her horse. She had her dinner, ravioli cooked especially for her by the castle chef, and then had a bath and listened to the king read her a bedtime story. After the story, the queen helped her put the lovely smelling oils of the magic sleepy potion on. She massaged it into her feet and her shoulders. Then Mindy's mother kissed her goodnight and left the room. Mindy lay there, smelling the delicious smells of the magic sleepy potion, but she didn't feel sleepy at all. Mindy tossed and turned, trying desperately to fall asleep, but she just couldn't seem to do it. I guess I'm immune to the magic sleepy potion, the Midnight Princess thought sadly. The next day, Mindy was surprised by another note from another royal family. This time it came from the princes and princesses at Hepburn Castle, who suggested the Midnight Princess should try running around for an hour before bed, then having a lavender bath and lighting some candles before bed. Mindy felt hopeful. Surely trying 3 different things would help her fall asleep. When she had finished princess school for the day, Mindy went up to read a book for a little while. Then she had dinner of meatballs and tomato sauce. After dinner, Mindy went running around outside for an hour. She jumped over plants in the garden and swung on branches down by the stream, and she even balanced along the wooden fence next to the stable. After all the time running and playing, Mindy felt dirty and sweaty. She went up into the castle and had a nice, long, lavender-scented bath. After her bath, the king helped her light some candles in safe places in her bedroom. He told her a story while they sat watching the candles flickering. After a little while, her father blew out the candles and kissed Mindy goodnight and left the room. Mindy closed her eyes, trying to force herself to fall asleep, but it just didn't work. She still couldn't sleep. The next day brought the weekend with it, meaning no princess school. Instead, the Queen invited 2 of Mindy's closest friends to come for a sleepover. The Queen hoped the princesses would have so much fun running around during the day they would all fall asleep quickly at bedtime. The 3 princesses spent the morning making chocolate raspberry puddings with the castle chef and playing dress-ups in the Queen's closet. She had so many beautiful things to dress up in. The princesses went horse riding in the afternoon and then helped the chef make pizza for dinner. Just before bed, Princess Raph suddenly said, "Oh, Mindy, I just remembered I brought something for you. I used to have trouble sleeping, but then my mother got me a hot water bottle. Whenever I snuggled up with it in bed, it always helped me drift off to sleep. You could also try having some warm milk before bed, suggested Princess Mia. I do it sometimes when I have trouble sleeping, and it always helps me. Mindy thanked her friends. They went down to the kitchen to ask the chef for some warm milk and filled up the hot water bottle. The little princesses all snuggled down in their beds, and Mia and Raph went right off to sleep. But poor Princess Mindy lay there listening to their deep breathing and just couldn't fall asleep herself. I'll be the Midnight Princess forever, she thought to herself, hugging the hot water bottle tightly. The next day, Princess Mindy felt very cranky. She hadn't had a good night's sleep for as long as she could remember. Everyone in the kingdom kept sending ideas and nothing worked. Would she ever have a good night's sleep again? Would she always be the Midnight Princess? Mindy didn't finish her scrambled eggs and even snapped at the gardener. She behaved so badly, everyone in the castle spent the rest of the day avoiding her. Mindy wandered around the castle, looking for someone to talk to, but she couldn't find anyone. Fine, she thought to herself. If no one wants to spend time with me, then Gerald and I will just leave. Mindy gathered up her pup and headed out to the stables to saddle her horse. But when she got there, she found the stable boy sleeping in the hay. Mindy couldn't believe it. First, everyone avoided her, and now the stable boy was rubbing it in by sleeping right in front of her. "Hey!" she shouted, kicking his feet to wake him up. "What do you think you're doing?" "Huh? What?" the stable boy muttered sleepily, rubbing his eyes. "Why are you kicking me?" "How dare you sleep in front of me?" Mindy said, furious. The stable boy looked at her. "I'm sorry, Princess, but I felt tired," he said, shrugging. Suddenly, Mindy didn't feel angry anymore. She just felt sad. She plopped herself down on the hay next to the stable boy. "Oh, it's fine. I shouldn't really be angry with you. I'm just jealous," she said. "Why jealous?" the boy asked. "Don't you know who I am?" Mindy said. "I'm the Midnight Princess. Everyone knows I can't sleep. I'm always awake until after midnight every night. I have tried everything I can think of just to get to sleep, and nothing works." The stable boy looked at her and smiled. "Did you ever try not trying?" he asked. Mindy rolled her eyes at him. "What do you mean not trying?" she said. "That sounds silly." "Come on, Princess. You can't say it's silly before you try it. Tonight, when you go to bed, try to think of something other than sleeping. Then tomorrow, if it doesn't work, you can come and tell me how silly I am." Mindy looked at him for a moment. "What should I think about?" she asked. "Anything at all, except sleeping. Think about the things you'll learn the next day at school, or think about the next trails you'd like to ride your horse on. Maybe think up a story in your head. Just think about anything except sleeping and see what happens," the boy said. "I'll try," Mindy said, "but nothing has worked so far, and I doubt this will either." So that night, Mindy had dinner, had a bath, listened to the king tell her bedtime story, kissed the queen goodnight, and lay in bed. At first, she scrunched up her eyes and tried to force herself to sleep. But then she remembered what the stable boy had said. She relaxed her face, rolled over, and began thinking about the time she went to the beach with her parents. She imagined herself dipping below the waves and sinking into the ocean. She imagined all of the different sea creatures she would see in the depths of the ocean. She lay there, quiet and contemplative, and slowly drifted off to sleep. When the king and queen poked their heads in 20 minutes later to see if she needed some warm milk or another story, they couldn't believe their eyes. Their little midnight princess was actually sleeping, and it was only just after 8 o'clock. They carefully shut her door again and did a quiet little celebration dance in the middle of the hall. For the first time in weeks, everyone in the castle had an early night, and everyone slept peacefully. The Midnight Princess finally had a good night's sleep. Well, I hope you enjoyed that story, guys. We have a huge thanks to send out to Benjamin from Berlin. Benjamin is 7 and he is German, American and Turkish, and he's lived in India for more than half his life and has friends and family all over the world. He says he loves our stories, and in times of COVID, we help him feel relaxed and happy in the evenings. Benjamin loves all the stories, but his favourites are the Buffy Bunny stories. Thanks for your review, Benjamin. We'd also like to say thanks to...
Are you ready to hear a story? That's wonderful. It's very almost the Christmas holidays, or the winter holidays, or whatever you celebrate. But it's a time that we all get to take off and spend with our friends and family. But for one little mouse, it's a time all about him. This is the story of Chris Mouse.
In a very busy town, in a very busy street, lives a very busy family and a very happy mouse.
Squeak! Oh, hello. My name's Chris.
Happy Chris Mouse. And tomorrow is a very special day. His birthday. The 25th of December. Chris Mouse Day.
I'm ever so excited. I love Chris Mouse Day.
Chris Mouse knows it's his birthday because every year the very busy family stop for one day and they have a huge celebration. They put up a tree and decorations and all their friends come and they say Happy Chris Mouse or sometimes Merry Chris Mouse, which doesn't make any sense because his name isn't Mary at all. But no bother, for here comes Emily, the little girl in the family, and she was his favourite. She was kind and lovely, and she often bought him a small slice of cheese, which he liked very much. But as Emily approached, Chris Mouse began to notice how rather bare the house looked this year, especially considering that today was Christmas Eve. The family really had waited very late to put up all his special decorations, but at least Emily was here. I'm sorry, Christmas Mouse. She always got his name wrong, though. I only have a small piece of cheese for you this year. I'm going to miss you so very much.
Miss me? Squeak! Why? Are you going on holiday? You can't go on holiday on Christmas Eve.
Of course, Emily didn't actually hear Chris Mouse talk. To her, it was just a little squeak. She'd always wanted a pet, more than anything, but in their big, busy, expensive house, she wasn't allowed any, so Chris Mouse was very special to her. I wish we didn't have to go away, but my daddy lost his job and he says we can't stay in this big house now. I'll really miss you, Christmas Mouse.
But little girl Emily, Squeak, tomorrow is Christmas Day. Where will we feast? What about Christmas presents?
Goodbye, Christmas Mouse. A little tear rolled down Emily's cheek. She hadn't made a lot of friends at school, so she really would miss little Chris Mouse. Lately, the other girls had been a bit snooty about Emily's clothes and her haircut, so she much preferred animals who never said anything rude about how much money you had.
You just need to put that suitcase down, Emily. I'll be very squeak upset if you don't. Oh no, they've all gone. First the tall mummy one, then the tired daddy one, and finally the kind Emily one. Squeak. Whatever is a Chris Mouse to do on Christmas Eve.
And so, little Chris Mouse was alone in the house, the once busy house, which was now terribly quiet.
I bet this is all just a funny joke. They're probably playing hide and seek with me. I'll find them.
First, Chris Mouse looked downstairs in the big fancy living room. And then in the big clean kitchen.
That's where Emily's chair used to be, where she used to bend down and give me a lovely biscuit to nibble on. But that chair isn't there now. And that's where Emily's train set used to be, where I used to sneak on board and go choo-chooing around the house. But the train set isn't there either.
Then Chris Mouse scurried up the stairs to Emily's bedroom.
That's where Emily's books used to be, and her cuddly toys of every animal, and our Christmas tree, where we'd eat mince pie crumbs and sing the 12 days of Christmas together. But now there are no toys, and no songs, and no Emily.
Chris Mouse scurried into his special little corner of the house, where he had his bed and his kitchen and all his little Chris Mouse things. And there on the floor was one thing he hadn't noticed.
Oh.
A tiny little present, all wrapped up in a bow.
Well, it isn't quite Christmas Day, but I'm sure no one will tell me off.
So Chris Mouse opened the present, and it was a lovely little locket with a picture inside of him and Emily. And although it was very small to you and me, it was very big to Chris Mouse, and so he loved it even more.
Oh, goodness. I simply have to find Emily now. It just won't be a proper Christmas Day without her.
Then the front door creaked on its hinges, and a big booming man came inside talking on his telephone.
Right, yeah, all cleared out. That's right, it's my gaff now. Nah, the old owners have been shipped off to a hostel, I think. Somewhere in the dodgy end of town. Listen, I'm sorry the lad lost his job so close to Christmas, but the world goes on, doesn't it? And anyway, who really cares about Christmas these days?
Who cares about Chris Mouse? What a terrible thing to say. And Chris knew the answer.
Why, Emily cares, and I'm going to find her. I just need this great big oaf to move out of the way, and then...
Chris Mouse saw his opportunity, and he darted across the floorboards, through the big oaf's legs and into the garden. At least, that's what he thought it was, for he'd never actually been outside before.
There's some grass, squeak, a tree, a pond. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I should go back inside. It's all a bit scary. But wait, you up there. Hello?
Chris Mouse lifted his paw and waved to a chirpy robin redbreast he saw sitting up on a fence.
Oh, hello. Happy Christmas Eve to you.
But oh no, his squeaks had alerted the oaf, who came thundering towards Chris Mouse.
Hey, you! I hate vermin! Come here, you dirty little rat!
Oh, good gentleman, I'm not a rat!
Chris Mouse darted out of the way as a rather unfriendly boot whooshed by him. And then, before he knew quite where he was, with a flapping of little robiny wings, he was flying. First this way and then that, as the oaf grabbed and clutched and tried to catch him. And then, with a whoosh, he went over the big oaf's head and off across the street.
Oh, I'm flying! I can see all the houses on the very busy street from up here. Oh, and they all welcome me with lights and decorations. They all celebrate Christmas Day.
Then suddenly, just as quickly as Chris Mouse had been flying, he was back on the ground with a rather loud thud for such a small mouse.
Oh,
Twit, of all the most stupid things!
who said that?
What a ninny of a creature you are! Chris Mouse looked up to see the same robin he had wished a happy Christmas Eve to just moments before. I am Roberta Robin, and you nearly got yourself killed. Well, Chris Mouse thought that was very rude, so he held out his arms and started to flap them like little wings.
Hello. Buti
Yeah, good morning.
Ayan.
Good morning, Iro. Gusto ng Iro na.
Yung cute na no. Woof.
Anong lahi niyan?
Ha?
Anong lahi?
Askal.
Di na askal.
Askal ah.
Kuan, askal man na. Aspin na karon. Di na askal kung tawagon. Aspin. Oh. Ayan, shout out kay DDS to, and of course, Pretty Mel.
Berahe,
Gina
mag-load
din.
muna ako ng washing ha.
Ginaline, Diadjo, mega love shout out. And Mami Rule, of course, Ronald Jobs, Love Me, MBC, Mexipinas. Sino ba sila? No si pala si. Sino ba sila? And dance. No si pala si. Sino ba sila? Alright, eksakto. 3 hours live with the Fast and Curious team. Nati Belma. Alright.
Ayan guys, maraming
for today,
salamat
guys.
sa inyong lahat. Every Friday may Zumba kami. Saturday dyan sa inyo.
Yes.
Maaga.
Every Saturday here sa Pilipinas, 9 a.m. Now meron 2 hours sa continuous dancing. Galaw-galaw para mabuhay ng mahaba.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, ganun guys. Ito yung routine dito sa Fast and Furious morning ng Saturday, and other day is just walwalan lang. And after ng Zumba, walwalan again. And sa gabi guys, meron mga palaro. Kung gusto niyo makasilip na maaring maayudahan. Yeah. Sali, pasok-pasok lang sa The Fast and Curious team. Alright.
Yeah.
Yun lang, Ate B.
Paalam na tayo, di ba?
Yes. And ikaw na, Ate B muna, magpaalam.
Okay, maraming salamat sa inyong lahat ya, Dens. Mami Lou, salamat sa renew. Dens TV, andito ako, ang sarap naman ng pinanood ko yung video mo, sarap ng mga isda. Yeah. Sino pa ba nandito? Ames Groves, Italian nun, mayan. Maraming salamat sa pagpunta nyo. Tikmani. Ayan. Yun lang. Maraming salamat. Tomorrow again. Maybe tomorrow daytime diha sa inyo. Maybe.
Yeah, ako yung magpapasalamat din dito, Ate B, ha. Ikaw lang, Loudest Official, of course, kay Sis Annalisa Mini Vlog. Thank you so much sa inyong suporta. Sa marami pang iba na nandito kanina, kina Miss JP, sila Hadija, DD Store, Abu Good Channel. Thank you so much. And of course, again, kay Ma'am Annalisa, Sis Annalisa, from KTV. Thank you so much sa iyong pag-blessing and more power to your channel. And God bless you always. And Hitchilin, my baby, may galab shout out. Thank you so much sa inyong suporta. Yung mga suportan tunay, guys. Yahoo! All the nasa official. Alright. Back to you, TV. Bye-bye guys. Bye-bye.
Maraming salamat dyan sa support niyo sa bahay ni Winjit, ni Roldan, Manlib, Nikki, and myself. Ayan guys, magpaalam na kami ha. Bye-bye! Have a good day!